Hello friends and welcome back to Gadgetrishi. In the previous video we have seen the dismantling of the purifier bowl. So in today's video we are taking it further and we are showing the reassembly of the purifier bowl of a Mitsubishi Selfjector Purifier series. So we turn the bowl upside down and replace the drain nozzles. The first thing, the drain nozzles are supplied as a part of the standard 4000 hour overhaul kit or 6 monthly overhaul kit, and it is good to have them replaced because it has a very tiny orifice which normally gets clogged. Next we will take overhaul or the assembly of the pilot valve. So the pilot valve in itself has many components, rather small, many o-rings to replace, so please watch it carefully. So these blue colors are the valve sheet and they have two faces, two sides. So remember that it is the flat side which should be assembled facing us. Here you can clearly see the difference between the correct and the wrong assembly. Then in the valve guide internally inside part there are two grooves for the internal o-rings. So they are both the same type and they have to be replaced. Here we have the pilot valve and the o-ring on the pilot valve and the two o-rings on the valve guide externally. So these three o-rings should be replaced. This is the complete assembled pilot valve. So to install it, first we apply a bit of a Vaseline and then gently tap it with the thumb, or you can use a soft hammer to guide it inside. Once the pilot valve is sitting nicely inside, then we screw in the walnut and tighten it. The same is to be done on the other side. So two pilot valves and two walnuts. So now coming to the bowl body, we have a o-ring here number 102 which has to be replaced, all parts to be thoroughly cleaned. Then on the main cylinder we have this o-ring, and then this is the guiding pin which we need to carefully insert into the slot, corresponding slot in the bowl body. The lowering you can do with all four studs in place, or as I am doing with just two studs. Just make sure it is centered and it can be smoothly lowered down. So there's the slot. It matches with the zero mark of the purifier bowl body. And that's where we want the main cylinder to sit. Try giving it a gentle turn by hand to make sure that the pin is inside the slot and that it is properly sitting inside the bowl body. I'm just verifying whether it can move vertically up and down, because this is how the bowl desludging mechanism eventually works. So it should be very smooth and able to move. Now it's the distributor. So distributor also has a locating pin on the underneath which has to enter in the corresponding slot over here. place it and turn it gently till you feel that the pin has entered the slot and it is aligned with the zero marking. Again, can try to give it gentle turns and twists to feel that it is nicely sitting in place. Then is the time to mount the discs. Make sure the discs are cleaned and then just guide them along the rib of the distributor. Finally, we have the top disc. Press it as much as you can by your hand force and make sure again it is centered to the zero mark and also inside the rib on the distributor, nicely sitting. Next we will mount the bowl hood. After replacing the main seal ring and the O-ring, again by hand only. The bowl hood also has a slot which has to go through nicely around the pin on the main body. So now is the time to compress the disc stack. So we are using the special tools as shown. So use the jack and screw it all the way in. And further secure it with the lock nut. Tighten it by hand first and then tighten further by the hammer to compress the disc stack to the maximum extent possible. While mounting this tool, make sure the slot is provided with which you can see the actual compression of the discs and it is aligned with the zero mark. So mount the tool so that you can see the disc, the rib and its proper compression and alignment with the zero mark. Then we screw in the bowl nut as much as possible by hand first and then the final bit to align it with the zero marking on the bowl body. We will use the bowl nut tightening tool and hammer it. Ensure that the zero marking on the bowl nut is fully in line with the zero marking on the bowl body. Now the jack nut can be loosened and the jack itself can be removed. It has done its job. That's it. The bowl is ready to be lowered into the purifier bowl recess. So gently and slowly lowering it down with the help of a chain block. Once it has sat down on the spindle, then you can slowly undo the tool. Make sure the smooth movement of the bowl is possible. So once the bowl is nicely sitting in its designated place, it is time to secure it with the help of the cap nut. So we have a special tool, it's called the cap nut spanner, as we have shown earlier. So assemble it, set the spanner on the cap nut and thread the threaded rod of the spanner into the threaded hole at the head of the cap nut. Then you can lower the cap nut and secure it. Secure the bowl with the spindle, turning it clockwise. In the final phase, we are left with the top parts, which are the inlet pipe, the impellers too, gravity disc, like liquid chamber, and the disc nut. So attach the first impeller to the inlet pipe. Then insert the light liquid chamber. Screw it clockwise by hand. And then use the spanner to tighten it. Then insert the gravity disc, the packing, then the second impeller on top, the heavy liquid chamber, then install the disc nut, tighten it clockwise by hand, and finally give it a full tight by the spanner. Hammer tight it to secure. I am replacing the main O-ring for the frame. And then our hood or the cover is now ready to be lowered down. Remove the special tool we used for lowering. Once it is sitting in the right position, we can secure the cover with the help of the 4 Allen bolts and tighten them. Next we have to secure the inlet pipe to the correct height, lifting it up, and also we have to prevent it from turning. So for this reason there is a slot given, and we can lock it with the help of the socket screw. So we secure it with the help of the Allen key clockwise all the way in till it goes and touches the inner recess of the slot. So this way the inlet pipe cannot be turned. Next we screw in the cover nut. Once tightened, we connect it with the water pipe. And tighten both the ends. Next we have to install the orifice, throttling orifice for the inlet side. Then making sure the end faces are nice and clean without any remains of the previous gasket, we replace the sealing gasket and connect the two pipes, inlet and outlet. Screw in the cap nuts. Also for this inlet pipe. Also the third pipe, hand tight first and then final tightness by the hook spanner and a hammer to ensure there are no chances of leakage. Then we put back the drain plugs, replacing the Teflon sealing on top, both for the inlet side and the outlet side. And having tightened both the drain plugs, we are done with the assembly of our bowl, and the purifier is now ready to be de-isolated from whatever isolations we have done in the beginning. And it's time to give the purifier a start. And we hope sincerely that you have enjoyed watching this video and that all the steps were clear enough to demonstrate and make you understand the correct sequence of assembly. Share this video with people you think would need it, and we appreciate your likes, shares and comments. Most welcome. And don't forget to subscribe our channel and stay tuned.